Hey there, gearheads. Dr. Cool Auto Fix here, and today we're tackling a problem that's plaguing modern diesel owners' failing DPF sensors. We're talking about reduced fuel economy, loss of power, and even expensive repairs down the line. When it's working correctly, it helps keep your engine running clean and efficient. But when it fails, oh boy, get ready for a bumpy ride. So, if you're a diesel owner, or just curious about how these systems work, buckle up and stick around. Alright folks, first things first, how do you know if your DPF sensor is acting up? Well, the most obvious sign is a glowing warning light on your dashboard. You might see a dedicated DPF warning light that looks like a little exhaust filter with some squiggly lines coming out of it. Now sometimes you won't get that specific DPF light, instead you might get the dreaded check engine light, the universal symbol for something's not right, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what. And let's be honest, that check engine light can mean a million different things, right? So how do you know it's your DPF sensor? Well, that's where a handy little tool called an OBD2 scanner comes in. This bad boy plugs into your car's computer and reads out any error codes that are stored. If your DPF sensor is on the fritz, you'll likely see codes like P2452, P2453, or P2463. Investing in a decent OBD2 scanner is like having a mini mechanic in your glove compartment. Okay, let's talk about another symptom that'll make you say, what in the world is going on with my car? Imagine this. You're cruising down the highway feeling good and then bam! It's like your car suddenly hit a brick wall. Acceleration becomes slower than a snail in a molasses factory, and overtaking? Forget about it. That, my friends, is the dreaded limp mode. It's your car's way of saying, hey, I think something's seriously wrong, so I'm gonna limit your power to prevent any further damage. And you know what often triggers this self-preservation mode? You guessed it, a faulty DPF sensor. See, when your DPF sensor is sending incorrect readings to the car's computer, we call it the ECU might think the DPF is completely clogged even if it's not. So the ECU goes into panic mode and activates limp mode, essentially turning your powerful diesel engine into a sluggish mess. Now, limp mode isn't something you should ever ignore. It's a serious warning sign that something is amiss, and driving in this restricted mode for extended periods can cause further damage to your engine. Get that DPF sensor checked out ASAP. Alright, let's talk about everyone's least favorite topic, spending more money on fuel than you have to. You see, when that sensor starts acting up and sending wonky signals to the ECU, it can trick the system into thinking the DPF is constantly clogged. And what does the ECU do when it thinks the DPF is clogged? It tries to fix the problem by injecting more fuel into the engine to burn off the perceived excess soot. The excess fuel doesn't actually solve the non-existent clogging problem, and it just goes up in smoke, literally. A faulty DPF sensor could be the culprit silently draining your bank account one fill-up at a time. Chapter 4. DPF Regeneration Problems. Now let's dive a little deeper into the world of DPFs and talk about regeneration. No, I'm not talking about your car turning into a transformer, although that would be pretty cool. DPF regeneration is a vital process that helps keep your diesel engine running clean and efficient. Think of it like this, your DPF is like a giant air filter for your exhaust, trapping all the harmful soot particles before they pollute the environment. But just like any other filter, it eventually gets full and needs to be cleaned out. During regeneration, the engine temperature increases, and extra fuel is injected to burn off the accumulated soot in the DPF, turning it into harmless ash. Now here's where a faulty DPF sensor throws a wrench into the works. If the sensor isn't reading the DPF pressure and temperature correctly, it can prevent the regeneration process from happening altogether. So, how do you know if your car is struggling with regeneration? You might notice a decrease in fuel economy, excessive black smoke coming out of the exhaust, or your engine struggling at higher speeds. Chapter 5. Rough idling or engine misfires. Alright, let's talk about another symptom that can make your car feel like it's about to throw in the towel. Rough idling and engine misfires. You know that feeling when you're sitting at a red light and your car starts shaking like a washing machine on spin cycle? Yeah, not exactly a smooth ride, is it? Well, a failing DPF sensor can be the culprit behind those unwanted vibrations. You see, the DPF sensor plays a crucial role in ensuring the engine gets the right air-fuel mixture for optimal combustion. But when the sensor starts sending inaccurate readings to the ECU, it's like giving your engine a bad recipe. The air-fuel mixture gets all out of whack, leading to incomplete combustion and those annoying misfires. Now, rough idling and engine misfires aren't just annoying, they're also signs that your engine isn't running as efficiently as it should be. Get that DPF sensor checked out before those minor hiccups turn into major engine problems. Alright folks, let's talk about another telltale sign that your DPF sensor might be waving the white flag excessive exhaust smoke. Now I'm not talking about a little puff of smoke when you first start your car on a cold morning. I'm talking about clouds of smoke so thick you could practically write your name in them. Remember, your DPF is designed to trap soot and prevent it from exiting your exhaust pipe. So, if you're seeing plumes of black smoke billowing out the back of your car, it's a clear indication that something is amiss with your DPF system. And you guessed it, a faulty DPF sensor could be the root cause. When the sensor fails to accurately measure the pressure difference across the DPF, it can disrupt the regeneration process, leading to a buildup of soot. This excess soot has nowhere to go but out the exhaust pipe, creating a smokescreen worthy of a James Bond getaway car. No matter what color the smoke is, one thing's for sure, excessive exhaust smoke is never a good sign. It means your car isn't running as cleanly or efficiently as it should be, and it could be a sign of a more serious problem brewing under the hood. Okay, let's talk about a symptom that's sure to put a damper on your driving experience: power loss and acceleration problems. You know that feeling when you step on the gas pedal expecting your car to surge forward, but instead it feels like it's stuck in mud? Yeah, not exactly the adrenaline rush you were hoping for, is it? Well, a failing DPF sensor can be the culprit behind your car's sudden lack of get up and go. Remember how we talked about limp mode earlier? Well, even if your car isn't in full-blown limp mode, a faulty DPF sensor can still cause a noticeable decrease in power and acceleration. When the sensor sends inaccurate readings to the ECU, it can throw off the engine's timing and fuel delivery, resulting in reduced performance. This power loss can be especially noticeable when you're trying to accelerate from a stop, climb hills, or overtake other vehicles. You might find yourself pressing the gas pedal further and further, but your car just doesn't respond the way it used to. A sudden and noticeable loss of power is often a sign of a specific problem, like a failing DPF sensor. Alright folks, let's turn up the heat and talk about another potential consequence of a failing DPF sensor exhaust system overheating. Now I know what you're thinking. Dr. Cool, my car has an exhaust system. I thought it just had a tailpipe. Well, my friend, that tailpipe is just the tip of the iceberg. Your car's exhaust system is a complex network of pipes, sensors, and filters that work together to reduce emissions and keep your engine running smoothly. And just like any other part of your car, it can overheat if something isn't working correctly. Now here's where the DPF sensor comes into play. One of its many jobs is to monitor the temperature of the DPF and make sure it doesn't get too hot. But when the sensor starts sending inaccurate readings, it's like having a broken thermometer in a sauna. Things can get dangerously hot really fast. If the DPF isn't able to regenerate properly due to a faulty sensor, the trapped soot can continue to build up and restrict exhaust flow. This restriction creates excessive back pressure, which can cause the entire exhaust system to overheat. So there you have it, folks. Those are the telltale signs of a failing DPF sensor. Now you might be thinking, Dr. Cool, this all sounds expensive. What can I do to fix it? Well, the good news is that catching a failing DPF sensor early can save you a ton of money in the long run. The first step is to scan your vehicle for those pesky error codes using an OBD2 scanner. Sometimes a simple cleaning with electrical contact cleaner can do the trick. Remember folks, knowledge is power. By understanding the symptoms of a failing DPF sensor and taking action early, you can keep your diesel engine running clean, efficient, and most importantly, save yourself a whole lot of headaches and money down the road.